Did you know that anxiety and depression in women increase by nearly 40% after age 40 due to hormonal shifts and life transitions? This is a significant mental health concern that often goes unnoticed. In today's episode, Clara and Claudette will discuss the unique mental health challenges that women over 40 face, from menopause to career changes and societal pressures. Stay tuned as they break down why these shifts happen, how they impact women's mental well-being, and most importantly, what strategies you can use to reclaim your mind and prioritize your mental health. If you felt the weight of these life transitions or are looking for ways to support the women in your life, this video is for you. Let's explore ways to protect your mental health, embrace midlife, and thrive in this new chapter.
Good morning, everybody. I am kind of out of it because I'm still struggling with a cold. I'm not sure if you can hear me. My voice is still kind of sort of sexy. How are you? Pleasant good morning, everyone. My name is Claudette Campbell, and I am the president and chairperson of the Daughters of Sheba Foundation. The Daughters of Sheba Foundation is a Canadian nonprofit organization. We are not a charity, and we have been around for 4 years doing work with women across the world. Mainly, when we started, we worked mainly with women in Jamaica, but now we are reaching out as far as wide as we care to. And my partner in women empowerment is Clara Brown, and she's with me this morning. This is the first time you guys are meeting her since we started doing this Saturday morning conversation. So welcome, Clara. Welcome, and thank you for joining us. And welcome to anybody who is new watching us this morning, whether you're watching us on YouTube or you're watching us on Facebook. Thank you for joining us. Please take a moment to press the like and share this very important conversation. This morning, we'll be looking at what we look at all the time, the lives of women over 40. So you could be 40, you could be 41, you could be 50, you could be 51, 60 like me, or approaching 60 like myself, or you could be 27 like Clara and just like to listen to the content of older and more wise women. Clara, thank you for joining us. And do you have any opening words before we jump right into our conversation this morning about reclaiming your mind, women's mental health over 40?
Other than to say that I'm happy to be here.
Okay. All right. Well, we are happy to
right
this morning. And let me just say a quick good morning to Doreen Clark. She's watching us from YouTube. Yes, my darling, I am getting well soon. Resilient Claudette. You know, boy, they need to add that to my name. That needs to become my Claudette. It's now Claudette Patricia Esterine. It should be Resilient Claudette Patricia Esterine Campbell. Anyway. This morning, we are getting into, as you saw from the opening, we're talking about, women's mental health. Once we reach over 40 years of age, what happens, what changes? As you heard in the opening, 40% of women experience anxiety and depression once they increase in ages and once they hit the after 40 age. And why is this so? Hormonal shifts and life transitions are some of the reasons why this happens. I can testify to that, although some might say my hormonal change, my mental health went downhill from I was a baby, which, by the way, please join me for my personal story that I have been or have started to share. Actually, I only did the intro this evening, posted a little trailer for the actual first in the episode. So my mental health has been shot for shit for a long time now. Please excuse my language. But
like a lyric for a song.
our mental health, once we get to become women over 40, it's crucial, especially crucial in today's society with all that's happening in the world. So, things like societal pressure, hormonal changes, and our shifting roles actually greatly impact our mental health. But before we get into this any deeper, everybody on social media, particularly on YouTube, say this thing, and sometimes we even have it. Before we dive into this topic, I hate it and I catch myself saying it sometime because, everybody's saying it. And so, anyway, by the way, if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. And so, Cara, hey, your opening thoughts on this issue of reclaiming your mind, women's mental health after 40.
Well, for me, my thoughts on this on this topic hinges on my own personal experience, and the shifts that I encountered when I turned 29 plus shipping and handling, otherwise
It's
called.
called over 40. Oh my God. You
Uh,
never fail.
Significantly so, because I became a parent after 40.
Oh, you did.
I,
Right. Do the
yes.
math, Claudette.
I
Thank you,
also
Lorna.
significant career shift at 40, where my responsibilities increased significantly. And also, I was on the cusp of completing my master's degree. So, right away, those things or those activities or those changes to have come at that age had its highs. Very, very excited about being a mother, very excited about juggling and the success of juggling career and personal life, very excited about my upward mobility professionally. So for me, it was not a mental health challenge as such, but the pressures from having to juggle all these various facets perhaps made me stronger,
Good.
made me
And you're
recognize how resilient I am.
well, okay.
And
So go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and also I think 40 was a good age because I was so much more mature to take it all on, to
That's the
take it on.
upside. That's the upside.
Yes. The downside of it was that
Let's hold
my
on. We're going to the downside. Hold on. We're not finishing in 15 minutes today. This is this
you
is
saw right
usually
through me. You saw
this
right
is
through me.
this is usually a 1 hour conversation. So hold your horses. Hold your horses. We have to feed the algorithm as well. So as Clara said, not everybody have mental health challenges the same way. I
Hmm.
always maintain, and as being someone who's been in psychology for years now, I'm a trained behavioral counselor and I'm a trained chaplain. Just in case you're wondering why this woman keep on speaking about these things, it's because I have professional experience, but I also, more importantly, have life experience because I am full of mental health challenges. And took the pill. I've had personal experiences with it. But as Clara says, not all of us have it the same way. But then there are other things that impact our mental health other than what she has listed. So some of the common things, challenges for women over 40, includes the hormonal changes that we go through. So Clara might not have had immediately when she turned 40, with a new baby and all of that, which in and of itself would have driven me crazy. But there's a whole thing of perimenopause at that time. Some women begin perimenopause, and that can cause mental health problems, even menopause after you turn 40, and other hormonal challenges that can lead to stuff like mood swing, anxiety, and even depression. I remember when I was going through the latter stages of perimenopause, moving into menopause, Clara used to say to me that, oh, you're experiencing your personal summer, because I was so darn hot, but thankfully that was short lived. And like Clara not experiencing some of the other stuff, I didn't get into anxiety or depression during my perimenopausal stage. Then there are other challenges like the transitions that we go through. For Clara, it was having a child after 40. But for other women like myself, it's your child leaving home after you turn 40. Or other women who have to look after elderly parents. Or again, like Clara, you have a career change. It might be moving upward, more demanding job, or they might be pushing you through the door because of ageism. But all of these things can cause you emotional strain and identity crises. And finally, what I'd like to look at this morning is the social pressures that we have. Again, pointing back to Clara, having a child after 40, I am sure not everybody was, yeah, Clara, you go, girl. There were people who say, now, what is old woman at the boat shall have baby? And that is my Jamaican coming through. Nobody, Clara? Nobody
which,
said that?
which well, I was prepared. So even there's a private joke with my peers at the time, where based on my professional statue, I never
Mhm.
wore the traditional maternity, because there I
Maternity.
have had maternity clothing,
Mhm.
because the people that I was supervising were like 20 years younger than me.
Exactly. Exactly. So
So
if you see you turn up now,
I ditched, exactly, I ditched the briefcase, carried just my handbag, and I wore my suits. I'm still the boss with a big belly, but I'm still the boss. So there. So
all right.
that's
So I just wanted to show the topics that the areas that we're going to have a look at this morning. So just give me a quick moment. So as you can see, we're going to be looking at some of the common mental health challenges that women over 40 face, and what are some of the strategies for you to deal with it. Not very long this morning, just two aspects of this topic we're looking at, and also into Clara being a baby mother after 40. All right. So, and one other thing that I really want to look at is the expectation by society that we should be aging gracefully. And usually by that, I mean leave the scene and leave it to the young people. And the stress of that, and what some women find themselves in dealing with that, and unrealistic body standards. So let's jump right into this. So Clara, as I've been saying, women over 40, we face such intense societal pressure to conform to certain expectations, which creates stress and affect us mentally. Maybe not you, maybe you're made of sterner stock than stronger stock than me. She's gone. And
I'm here.
our our emotional well-being. So oh, I took you off the thing. Oops, 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 oops. I'm sorry. Let me fix
You have been a
that.
little corner
No,
there,
yeah, I am.
there.
I really am not on
Yep,
top form, people.
you're playing with me.
Oh, you mean I'm playing with you because yes, because you see, the focus today, instead of being mental health challenges, is being a baby mother after 40. maybe
All
that's
of a
maybe that's
sudden,
what. maybe that's what we will talk about next week, Saturday morning.
Oh no,
Becoming
oh
a
no, oh, because I'm not joining you.
the challenges of becoming a baby mama after 40. No,
You
no, I'm
want me
just
to ask?
kidding.
You want me
Go
to
ahead.
ask? You want me to ask my cousin to come and join you for
Oh,
that?
please. Oh,
Scratch that,
please. Oh,
scratch that,
please.
scratch that.
Oh,
Just
please.
kidding.
Oh, please. So one of the things that we as women over 40 or over 50 or approaching 60, we hear about is this notion of aging gracefully, which basically suggests that women must age in a way that the society deems aesthetically pleasing. So, you must look a certain way because we're so youth centric in our beauty standards. And we do have a video about the ugly nature, the true nature of beauty standards and where it came from and what's driving it. So you can watch that here on our YouTube channel if you're watching us on YouTube. And this youth centric beauty standard that we have leads to pressuring of those of us who are over 40 to maintain a youthful appearance. And, I mean, let me, apart from my eyebrows needing to be done, and I do not do fake eyebrows, I just, go get it waxed. But apart from that, you see any, by the way, look on my skin, and this is not filter, okay? All right. So they have this notion that once you hit 40, you don't you're supposed to look like a 16-year-old, not even a 20, not even a 30. And if you cannot meet that standard, you don't qualify to be even outside. So, women over 40, we are often bombarded with these messages about anti-aging products and cosmetic procedures and how to reverse the signs of aging. And this can be emotionally taxing for those of us who are not made of the kind of stuff, the strong stuff that Clara is made of. And it often suggests to women over 40 that they should not only avoid looking older, but their worth is diminished. So, like Clara, you were saying a while ago about being the boss in an office at 40, being pregnant, and you were supervising people half your age. Did you feel that kind of pressure?
Not at all. Not
Okay.
at all. And to the extent that I didn't allow myself to be pressured
Mm-hmm.
since my pregnancy was planned. And I knew that there were going to be challenges. Well, at 40 being pregnant, I had my own emotional issues to deal with in terms of having carrying a high risk pregnancy, because high
Mm-hmm.
risk is now after 50, more so 40,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I had to basically compartmentalize the various factors.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that I couldn't allow my condition to affect negatively my role as a business manager.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I had to stay healthy,
Mm-hmm.
and I also know that I had to be mentally strong to go through
But
this
Carol,
nine
tell me,
months.
no, but seriously, was there no time at all that you felt anything that's not as peachy as the picture that you are painting? Because it sounds
It
quite
wasn't.
peachy
It
and
wasn't. It wasn't peachy. It wasn't peachy. It was not peachy. It's just that I had to. So when I had very very terrible morning sickness,
Mhm,
and that start like from 3 o'clock every morning. So picture this: getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, so sick, so out of it, and had to arrive at the office at 8:30.
mhm,
So I I don't know what it is. I don't know what it was, but I had to deal with that kind of issue. But so I couldn't go to the office. I couldn't arrive at work with a brown bag to
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I had to dust myself off, put on my suit, and head to work. Because
Okay.
at the time, if you're not feeling up to it, they're gonna say, "Hey, be men, tell you figure get whatever," and that had to be pushed back. I mean,
Okay.
so it wasn't peachy, but I had to find ways and means of
Mm-hmm.
dealing with what I was going through personally, and not
Mm-hmm.
be affected by what that person might think or that person might think. My reports, my board reports had to be done on time. I couldn't say, "Oh, I wasn't feeling so. I was so out of it this morning. I
and
vomited. I
and
this."
and that and that and that so if it was a woman of 25 years of age, yes, she would have some pressure about meeting her job requirements. But because you don't, do you think that because you were older, you felt an additional need to ensure that you were able to deliver in the same way, and that nothing, quote unquote, was compromised because of your pregnancy at that age?
Of course, of
Okay.
course, because I think so. Even though it was perhaps subtle, I think
Mm-hmm.
my bosses at the time probably were saying, I hope you know that you have to still meet your requirements, your job requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And that cannot be, being pregnant at that age cannot be used as an excuse because you have
Exactly.
responsibilities to the business. I'm sure
Right.
they didn't
Right. They didn't
vocalize it,
say it. Right.
but I'm sure it was there somewhere. And I had to prove to them
Mm-hmm.
that I can do this.
So because even pregnancy, we didn't have it on, well, I didn't have it on my list, but even pregnancy is felt to be a young girl thing, so I mean, I don't want to belabor her name, but even I think it was last time we had a conversation, not you and I, but here on the Daughters of Sheba Foundation, we were talking about the popular Jamaican personality, local celebrity, you might say, Miss Kitty, who she herself too had a child over 40. And as a woman over 40, having a child, she came under, me being here in Canada and watching from afar, she seemed to have come under immense pressure as a woman over 40 having a child. Even now, the child is what, almost 3 months old, and people are demanding to see the child's face. She has shown the child, but she has not shown the child's face. And I know exactly what they're thinking because of her age, that she had her first child, and it's again, it's another, and I'm really glad that the conversation took this turn this morning in terms of pregnancy as a woman over 40. We It wasn't one of the things I had on my list, but it's really very interesting what happens to women once we've seen. I've seen news, and you might have too, Clara, seen news coming out of places like India of women of 60 years of age having children. You
I
know,
saw that.
yeah, but in our culture, giving birth is a under 20, under 30 thing. Once you hit 30, they start call you old maid. You know, if you don't have a child, and on top of that, if you're not married. So anyway, good morning, Gloria. Thanks for joining us. Gloria is one of the directors here at the Daughters of Sheba Foundation, and she was with me last week. So I was talking about aging gracefully as women over 40 as being one of the pressure points for us. And to link back to what Clara was talking about is maintaining your career success. As women in our 40s may also face pressure, pregnant or not, to maintain or even accelerate your upward mobility in whatever profession you're in. Um, it's a time when we are expected to be at their professional peak. And if you're like me, who when you hit 40 plenty, you decide, to hell with this. I don't want to do any more studies. I mean, even just the other day, there's something I need to be reading for? And I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to read anything else, And I said to my daughter, I know you're looking at me as worth as that I've lost my ambition, because me, with all the degrees and all the books I've read and all of that, and I used to and I still do it now to my granddaughters, go read a book and so forth. And now I'm like, I don't even want to. I have this little test to go do, and I don't want to do it. I really don't want to do it. So I'm procrastinating on it. So when we get to this age of 40, and especially if you're still working, people expect you to be moving up, 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 up.
Mhm.
Although I do
Mhm.
notice in Jamaican culture, there's a set of people who feel that once you reach a certain age, you should get out of the job so that they can get it, because it's their turn now. But that's a whole different
And they
story.
can't do it. They
Can't do it.
can't do it.
I know they can't do it. But did you
They can't
experience
do it.
did you experience that, Clara? Any kind of pressure once you after you had the baby and all of that, that you were supposed to just keep moving up, 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 up in whatever field that you were in?
Um, my focus shifted somewhat. So by the time, yes, I got pregnant when I was reading for my master's, and I had to ask for a deferral for a couple of
Mm-hmm.
months, which they allowed me. But
Mm-hmm.
the, by the time I was doing my thesis, Jared was here. So
Mm-hmm.
I had Jared on the breast, typing on the computer, completing my thesis to complete my thesis by the deadline, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was rough. That was so rough, to the
Mm-hmm.
extent that when I went up to collect my diploma, I made sure Jared was there to collect it for me because he was the cause of that. It better be bright. Anyway,
So did you experience any kind of, not depression, but any kind of anxiety or anything around that whole, can I finish this, can I really do this kind of thing?
oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. And now I hear that it's called postpartum. Well,
Postpartum
at the
depression.
time, yes,
Uh-huh.
depression. But at the time, I knew I had to finish by a certain time. I came under pressure to finish by a certain time. I knew I had to send those drafts and get them looked at, and it was so
The
difficult.
adrenaline. Hmm.
Yes, yes, that's what drove me. And
And then sorry, go ahead.
and well, I was on maternity leave when I completed, so that part of it I was able to block out, and
Hmm.
then getting ready to go back to work. Whew, yeah, that was rough, but I had to do it. I had to dig deep and do it. I said that a peacock doesn't get its feathers fluttered or flustered or whatever. So the peacock in me stood out.
Awesome. So you see, I'm glad for your experience, but then there are other women who have the opposite experience to that, in that
Mm-hmm,
they
mm-hmm,
at over 40, they are facing situations where, even when you said when you go back to work, you go back to work after whatever reason for being on leave, and confront workplace ageism, because they're younger employees, and they are now, while you were off, or whether or not you were off, with the ageism, they are getting the favors, and you have to be balancing your personal responsibility. You probably might have an aging parent living with you, or whether or not they're living with you, or
mm-hmm.
like in your
Indeed.
case, Clara, you have a child going through university. So you're now trying to balance. You're at a different life stage as a woman over 40. You're trying to balance still being great in your career, still
Mm-hmm.
maybe moving up because that's what's expected of you. Um, but you have a child going through university. My daughter now is approaching 40, not quite there yet. She has a few more years to go, but she has two kids, and
Mhm.
she, it's all of that, how do you juggle all of that and keep your head screwed on? How do you? Any advice, Clara?
Um, I don't know if I don't think I'm unique in that I looked forward to 40. I don't know why.
You did? Okay.
And everything prior to 40, I tried to link it to turning 40. So there were
Okay.
goals that I set. There were goals that I set that I must achieve prior to 40. Of course, half of them I achieved after 40. So there is, so we have to be very cognizant and be present with the environment that we are surrounded by. So that,
Hmm.
and we have to allow ourselves, and I talk this all the time, every occasion I get, allow ourselves sufficient doses of grace,
Hmm.
telling ourselves that this might not happen, but it's okay. Move on. So I think one of the effective ways of dealing with mental health issues associated with whatever transition you're trying to manage is to let yourself be present and to tell yourself that it might not happen the way you planned it, but it can happen. There is still the possibility that it can happen, so
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
you are not negatively affected by, yes, lack of attaining a goal within a certain time. Who are we to be setting time limits? You have a life, and we don't know when this is going to come to an end. So why do we put timelines?
Well, we do
Whether you're
because we compare ourselves to the Joneses. We do because we see the next woman next door having
but
a snatch.
your last name is Estherine, and and my last name is Brown, so not Jones. And I tell Jared
No,
that all the time. I
my
said,
last name is
remember, say your
Estherine Campbell. Please.
That's Estherine Campbell, yes. And and I tell Jared, remember your last name is not Jones. He said, what do you mean by that, mommy? And I tell him, I explain to him. I said, set
Stop
yourselves
watching
your
it.
goals that are
But
and
you
stop
see, and this is
putting over the counter,
this is why
over the wall.
I love what we do, because we are not licensed psychologists. We are not um, celebrities, far from it. We are not billionaires. We are not Beyonce. But what I like about what we do is that we are real, and we've lived it. We don't need to pretend. At least I don't pretend about where I'm at and where I've been and where I hope to go. And with you saying that, it's just reminds me again, as if I needed it, why we do what we do on Facebook, on YouTube, on all of our social media platforms, and the type of conversations we have, because we want to remind women, and especially women of our age, that you don't need to live up to anybody's standards but your own. You set your own standards and don't give up rats behind what anybody else is doing. It is hard, it is difficult, it is, especially in this age of social media and all the pressures, especially
And
to look
it's the
healthy and to look
loudest
attractive.
noise.
Sorry?
It's the loudest noise. So
It's
you
the
have to
loudest,
stay
and
focused.
the empty barrels always make the loudest noise,
Hmm. Hmm.
and this is why it is so important for us to have these kinds of conversations, whether it's a Saturday morning or a Tuesday night, with people, with women in particular, to say, do not succumb to societal pressure, whether it's regarding your career, whether it's regarding the fact that you're having a child after 40. Whatever it is your life. You live it how you want to live it. And so instead, though, we often see women struggling mentally with trying to be her, being herself, especially once she hits a certain age, and things like irritability, sleep disturbances. I suffer from insomnia, and that's another story. And lack of motivations are some of the things that immediately come to mind when we're trying to live to other people's standards, or we allow ourselves to be affected by what people think about us, and my personal story with mental health struggles ha- came from childhood, and and then being conscious of the fact that I grew up in semi poverty, and wanting to, as Clara said, be like the Joneses. In my case, it was I wanted to be like my neighbors, Grace and Janice. They were they wanted to be doctors. One of them is a doctor. The other one has a daughter who's a doctor. But those were my models. But I didn't have the brain capacity to become a medical doctor. And
So you
we didn't have the finances, and I didn't know how to deal with that. So that's where my mental health struggles started. Clara, I know, cannot share any such thing with you because she has been sane all of her life, but I have not been, and I have no problem saying that. Like I said, no, I suffer from insomnia, and um, my I went to my doctor recently, and he sent me to go get the sleep testing and so forth. And one of the things that they said was, as we age, sleep becomes a challenge. And it's not for me, it has something to do with I still am not over, as much as people see me smiling and talking and all of that. There's still residual grief that I'm going through over the unaliving of my husband 4 years ago. And my challenge with sleep started deepened then, and it was never I was never an 8 or 10 hour sleeper. But when my husband was unalived 4 years ago, sleep said goodbye and went to the grave with him. And so for the last 4 years, I've hardly ever had 8 hours sleep. So now I'm a walking insomniac. And so that in itself sometimes give me mental health issues. And now it's coupled with my age. Lack of motivation for me, which is one of the symptoms again of mental health challenges, is I'm only lacking in motivation as it comes to what society expects of me. I don't know. What about you, Clara? Are you experiencing any of these, like sleep disturbance, or any what, if any, um challenge you might say you have with becoming a woman over 40 in terms of mental health? And hold on, let me just, because I think a lot of people get it wrong. That they feel that when we use the word mental health, they jump immediately to the extreme. They jump to the negative, to the extreme. And I don't know if that's you, Clara. I'm straight up. A lot of people tend to think that when you say the word mental health, they think that you're eating out of the garbage pan, or they think that you are walking naked down the street. I remember the first time I was confronted with that fact. We all have an experience of a mental health challenge. Some might have it more than others, some might not. So for example, I remember once being diagnosed clinically depressed, and nobody believed it because of the way I looked, the way I was going on, and so forth. Nobody realized that I was clinically and chronically depressed. Look at people like Robin Williams, who unalived himself. The man was seriously depressed. So we all, it might not be to that extreme. So when I asked the question, what mental health challenge you face or are now facing, being a woman approaching 60 like myself, Clara, we can do the math now. Your son is in university and you had him after 40, so we know you're approaching 60. So no matter how much you want to say you're 27 plus,
a young boy. He's still
he's
at
a young
home. He's
boy.
still at home. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
So you see,
Don't do that.
folks, I have
And
revealed.
he
I have
is
revealed Clara's
also,
mental health challenge.
and
Clara's mental
I'm
health
going to,
challenge is denial. She's in denial that she's approaching 60. She gone. She does this every time that I say something that she doesn't agree with. Every time I say something that she don't really like, she turn off her camera.
let's go back to the question. Let's go back to the
Yes,
question.
yes. The
And the
question. What
question is
the question is, as a woman approaching 60,
over 40.
as a
Go ahead,
woman over
stop it.
40, as a woman over
Yes.
40, um,
Mhm.
what minuscule difference you see or might have noticed in your mental health? Have you seen anything in your experience, whether it is work, whether it is in society, that you have to stop yourself and say, listen, Clara, take yourself in control here?
Um, anxiety. Anxiety
Okay.
is one of my anxiety of um because of the shift in society, and especially socially.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety because I keep thinking, um, geez, is this the society, the kind of society with the significant shifts, the lack of moral values that my own child is going to have to grapple with? Because it's different from what I am accustomed to. It's different from how I grew up, and the things that he has to think about now. And I don't think it's unique for me that
No,
I
it
get
isn't.
anxious about. I'm sure it is not. So that mental aspect of my well-being is constantly under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Also, um, my health.
Okay.
I get anxious, yes, and I do all that I can to make sure that I stay healthy. Because when I
Mm-hmm.
retire, I want to retire and retire healthy.
Okay.
And if there's anything that I can do, and this trajectory began before I turned 40, because I had other
Mm-hmm.
issues dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I take deliberate steps to make sure that I remain healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, if I feel the slightest headache and can't explain why,
Mm-hmm.
it intensifies because I can't explain why am I getting a headache. I say, okay, but I went to the ophthalmologist last year, so I'm not due until this. So that kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
outside of that, and
You're fine.
my
And
I'm
in and
fine.
of
My
itself,
midlife.
the anxiety is, and I'm glad you admit it.
No,
So
but
what are some of the
yeah, I talk about it all the time,
so
which
what
is
are
why
some
I
of the
always encourage you to exercise and make
Oh,
sure
no,
that
no, no, no. Exercise would give me anxiety. I am not an anxious person. Exercise would cause me to be anxious. The thought of getting up to go exercise would make me anxious. So no, that's why I resist your persistence to go exercise. But
for
I really love
the
you.
15 years that we are together, I've been saying that too.
For the 15 years you have been bothering me about exercising, and for the 15 years I have refused. And for the 15 years, see, still snatch. Okay? So so it might not be as sting as and firm as it used to be, but I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Firm is good
So
too.
as
Firm is
we
even
we
better.
as we reach, we're in our last 15 minutes here. Let us talk about some of the strategies then for dealing with, reclaiming our mental health, whether it's anxiety about your children's future, whether it is anxiety about your health or concern about your health. Whether in my case, I went through a little. I don't want to say anxiety. It's not anxiety, but I had my moments when I had to stop and say, because there was a certain trajectory for me in my life. I was I set them myself. My mother wanted me to be a doctor, a medical doctor, because my neighbors Janice and Grace, that was what they were going to do. I knew I couldn't do math to save my life. Chemistry was not going to happen and all of that. So I made my own trajectory, and that was to do what I did best. I love history. I love the English language. And so I went into public relations, communications, and all of that. And so my trajectory was actually politics. And so I got the degrees, close to the PhD, and stopped, and so in the last few years, even with my daughter, I've, had the conversation. Why did you stop? Why have you lost your fire? No, I haven't. It's just that for me, my perspective has changed. My priorities have changed. And like now I am quite happy. Never thought I would be. I'm quite happy being a grandmother, looking after my 2 grandkids and doing what I do. I love to write, and I do a lot of writing. The book is coming, and doing this, and doing whatever I need to do on the side. This is my primary thing. It doesn't make me any money, and that's not what it is about. Whatever I do on the side, that is my side hustle to pay my bills, so that's my not living up to people's and society expectation. There's a woman in my life who she's a PhD twice, and she thought I was going to be following in her footsteps, Phyllis. And there was a time, every time Dr. Green and I spoke, she would like, Claudette, so where is the thesis? Where is the this, the that? And then in the last 5 years, I think she realized that, okay, Claudette really done with this. She's not going any further. So she has stopped saying stuff like asking me for things like that. So what are some of the strategies we can use as women of whatever age when you get to that point in your life where the anxiety for your kids, the thinking about what society think of you, or your health, or whatever it is that causes you to say, oh my God, I'm not living up to this, and what's going to happen to my kids? What are some of the strategies we can employ? And before we get into that, Clara, let's just read what Doreen Clark here is saying. Clara doesn't seem to have issues relating to anxieties. She handles it quite well, and for that, I applaud her. In fact, I applaud her on so many things. So that's your fan. You see, I am not Clara's fan. I'm not Clara's fan. So I'm not Clara. I am not Clara's fan, so I can tell her the truth. I am the truth teller in Clara's life.
Lies, you are a fan.
A fan of you? Yeah, Clara, I don't follow anybody. As much as I love you, I don't fan. There is only... Listen.
That's funny. Loving me is fanning me.
There is one woman in this world that I was and am a fangirl of, and that is Beverly Manley Duncan, or Duncan Manley, whatever she wants to call herself. That is the only woman on earth who I am a fangirl of. Sorry, darling. I love you dearly, but I'm not a fan. So
I don't care what you want to say. I don't know what you call it. That's fine.
Anyway, strategies for reclaiming our mental health, Clara. So although you don't know the experience, what are some of the things that you would suggest to women who, feeling anxious like you do about their children's future? What would you suggest that how they handle it, or feeling anxious about their health, apart from go do exercise?
I can only speak for what works for me.
Okay, go ahead. Go right ahead. I don't have to listen. I don't have to listen.
Okay. As I alluded to in my previous statement, it's okay to retry. Recognizing that it's okay to retry. Um, Try to block out as much as of the noise as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I know I spent about um perhaps about 5 to 10 years of my life setting goals based on a fantasy. That was what it was. Then life happens and you realize that this is not how it is. So make sure that you are flexible in your expectations.
And
So
Gloria
set,
says, going for long walks and listening to your inner voice.
yeah, you be flexible with your expectations. Um, as a woman, society, your children, your bosses,
Your
expect
business.
your business expect so much from you. We have to do it 3 times more, 5 times more to get the same, even little recognition. Be
Mm-hmm.
confident in who you are. Because if you are not, you're going to be shaken, you're going to be thrown against the walls, whether it is personally. Just be confident in who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Reassessing your goals don't have to come or be accompanied by a New Year's resolution. Every morning you get up, you reassess your goals. Every morning you get up, you
Okay, stop
reassess your
clapping
goals.
because you were hearing it in your mic.
Sorry, sorry. Every
No,
morning you
we
get up,
get
you
that. We
reassess
get
your
that.
goals.
We get that
Yes,
you feel strongly
because
about that.
yes, because people think that you can just go through life like a paper boat on the waves. Don't work like that. Have a plan, have a goal or series of goals.
Yeah. No, no,
But
you're absolutely right. And sorry. And you Gloria, I know we like this one, because what she's talking about when she said go for a walk is the whole mindfulness, being mindful. And part of mindfulness is, setting your own expectations for yourself and living according to your own expectations and being mindful of the fact that this is not mine, that is not mine, that is their issue, this is what I want to do,
mhm.
and mindfulness and self-care is are big things for us here at the Daughters of Sheba Foundation, and it is big for women over 40, because we get so caught up. I mean, the young girls, or the younger ladies, they are getting into the self-care, but for them self-care is more about makeup and going to the spa and so forth, and it's that, but it's more being mindful is and taking care of yourself. It gives you opportunity to be more mentally clear and reduce the stress in your life. And when it comes to self-care, the practices that specifically targets your mental health, like Gloria said, go for walks if that's what works for you. That's what works for me. Writing works for me. Having a spiritual practice, I know, works for people like Colleen, for example. It does work for me as well. So however self-care looks for you. And on our Facebook page today and on Instagram, we have a post about the various aspects of self-care. It's not just going to the spa, because sometimes you're going to the spa and you're worried about, how am I going to pay the bill? How much them going to charge me today? And will I be able to tip? So that's really not self-care if you're going in worried about the money. So do self-care stuff that works for you, that will not bring you additional stress. And the importance of regular checking in with yourself cannot be overstressed. and professional help. It's something I'm going to be talking about tomorrow on Sunday Spirit, specifically about Black women and why we don't seek professional help when it comes to our mental health. Black women of any age in any country, we are hesitant to seek professional help. And it's something I will discuss tomorrow morning on Sunday Spirit. So please join us. And I will have an announcement too as well about Sunday Spirit tomorrow. But that's seeking professional help is another strategy that we need to employ. Clara, I'm going to put you on the spot. Have you ever sought the support of a therapist or a counselor?
Yeah, a counselor, yes.
You have? Okay. I resisted it. I resisted going into therapy for a very long time, even after my drama, that my virtual breakdown that I had. I resisted it, and I will discuss that tomorrow. But it works. It helps. It's not the cure all because it's a constant thing. One thing we need to understand, is that once we fall into depression, and whether that's clinical depression like happened to me or chronic depression, there are various levels of depression, being depressed, it never goes away. It never goes away. You simply learn how to handle it. You learn coping skills, how to deal with it. You learn the signs. You know the triggers. You, if you're listening, you learn. Okay, this is going to set me off, so I'm not going down that rabbit hole. So this is why therapy and counseling, or as somebody says here, I think I saw somebody say, reaching out to others for help, why it is so important to do. Some people feel that they're going to be bothering you, or they might be judged or whatever. And then, well, that Gloria made the last point I wanted to make, the power of getting community support, how sharing with other women who understand can provide comfort and solutions. It's only recently I said to someone, and I hope neither of them going to be upset with me for saying this. I'm not going to call their names. Recently I said to someone, this person, I said to one woman, I said, this person and I connect on me. I have different connections with different people. And this particular woman and I connect in a certain way because we share the experience of depression. We both understand what it means to be seriously depressed and to work your way through it. So she and I connect on that because whenever I get into that place, that's who I reach out to, because I know she's going to get me. I know she's going to understand when I say I'm in a dark place today. I don't have to tell her the degree of darkness. If the power bill wasn't paid, why I couldn't turn on the light or something like that. If I say to her, I am in a dark place today, she gets it. She gets it. I don't have to explain myself. And if she says that to me, if she says to me, Claudette, sorry, I haven't been in touch, I just wanted to be quiet, I get it. Because I've gone, the lockdown, when we had a lockdown, I wasn't depressed, but when we had well, I was kind of, because I was in grief for my husband. But when we had the lockdown, that was the sweetest time for me because I'm a recluse. I like being by myself. So, you need to have people in your life who understand it, not only when you're over 40, if you're as a woman over 40. So those are my suggestions in terms of strategies, mindfulness and self-care, seeking professional help, and having a community, whether it's here online, whether it's us at the Daughters of Sheba Foundation, whether it's your church community, whatever community it is, having a community that you can reach out to when you get there. Doreen is saying deep breathing, meditation, stretching, relaxing in my bath, and taking a long soak help to reduce my anxiety. However, going to counseling does help. Thank you for sharing that, Doreen, because that's important. I know a lot of women, and as I said, I'll be talking about that tomorrow. Clara, do you have anything to add to that before we wrap this up?
Fundamentally, as you have said, Claudette, reaching out to your community, and that I have learned to do that
Mm-hmm.
more after 40
Mm-hmm.
than ever,
Yeah.
because prior
Before
to
you
that I thought
don't.
I yeah, I didn't think I needed to. I thought I had it in me to ride this storm.
And I'm watching my daughter. I've watched my daughter over the years. When she was in her late 20s, I knew she was going through whatever she was going through, but she wouldn't talk to me. She wouldn't reach out. No, she's in her late 30s. I see her reaching out. She doesn't, she tells me sometimes, and I'm fine with her not telling me because I cannot be my daughter's counselor. And people, please, that's something we also need to understand. Those of us with older kids, those of us like Clara approaching 60 with older kids. Don't turn off the camera. Don't turn off. We cannot be our kids counselors, but we can get them counseling support. And your kids will be going through stuff. You need to get them counseling support. Clara, come back on and stop your nonsense. um so folks, that's our conversation this morning about reclaiming your mind and your woman's mental health after 40. Just to recap the main points, and if I'm missing anything, Clara will fill in. um the hormonal changes that we go through, the life transitions, such as having a child after 40. And Clara, thank you for introducing that aspect of it, because it never crossed my mind at all. That's one of the life transition of becoming an empty nester, um, divorce, death of a spouse or a parent, the transition of you becoming the parent for your parents, and the societal pressure. These are all things that can affect us as we grow older as women. And so it is very, very important for us to, in order to reclaim our mental health as women over 40, is the self care, professional help, and building a strong support network, non judgmental network of support. Anything to add, Clara, before you turn off your mic again? Can you know Mega Mess Studio before we leave?
Oh, thanks for giving me the heads up. Bye. Ditto.
Okay, I have nothing to add. Okay. So so folks, thank you again for joining us. I don't know what we'll be discussing next week, Saturday. I will post it, but I want to leave you with encouragement, to share your own mental health experiences or challenges if you care to, in the comments. If you're watching this after the live has ended, you can do as Doreen did and share her experiences. How did you deal with your mental health challenges, whether you're a woman over 40 or not? And I just invite you to participate in ongoing conversations about women's mental health. It's a conversation that we will definitely continue having here at the Daughters of Sheba Foundation and on all of our platforms. It's going to be one of our primary focus. Women's mental health and women's over 40 mental health is going to be one of our primary focus. We do have videos on our YouTube channel, all our full length videos. Most of them now are located on our YouTube channel. So I do invite you to go across and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because honestly, we're moving more and more to YouTube, where we'll be posting most of our stuff. So we invite you to go across and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get information. We'll be having more and more guests, expert guests, to shed light on issues such as mental health and just basically issues affecting us or financial health as women over 40. So thanks again for joining us. Please hit the subscribe. Please hit the like and follow if you're watching on Facebook, and wherever you're watching. Please have yourself a wonderful rest of the Saturday. Looking forward to see you. Looking forward to see you all tomorrow morning for Sunday Spirit, when I'll be talking about Black women So please, nobody don't come after me because I'll be talking about Black women because there's a specific situation in the Black community which is well known that we do not access mental health as we need to. So tomorrow I'll be talking to Black women. So if you don't want to join in, you don't have to join in. And do not join in simply to tell me that, oh, it's all women. I will trace you. Okay? All right.
You've been forewarned.
They have been forewarned. It is for Black. It is about and for Black women. So thank you very much. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of your Saturday. I'm going to go and nurse my cold. What you doing for the rest of the Saturday, Clara?
Chilling.
Oh, so that means you're going out. That means you're going out.
Oh, you said that begrudgingly.
Well, because I'm sick. Because I'm sick. This woman over 40, she doesn't stop. She doesn't stop.
That's life. At 40.
Her life began at 40, folks. Have a great day, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Clara, talk to you a little bit.
All right.